My name is Juanita Rodriguez. I did my undergrad at University of San Francisco. I actually did a double major in international business and Latin American studies, so I'm a very unique case-bred analyst. I have done certifications at UCLA Extension, General Assembly, and I'm now doing one at Caltech, all for analysis and data mining. Whoa, it's getting dark, Okay, and what else? I have worked at a startup, at a franchise, and at mid-sized companies. I am currently at Horizon Media, which is an advertising agency. It's the largest privately owned advertising agency in the U.S. We're based out of New York and L.A. That's where I currently am. I work on the Honda, La Quinta, Corona, and Ballast Points accounts. I am well-versed in SQL, Alteryx, Excel, Tableau, and KNIME is what I'm currently learning. We'll get into a little bit more of this analysis language in just a second. So I specifically work on all of those brands and their offline, social, digital, out-of-home reporting. Offline, what I mean by that is audio and television. Out-of-home is everything billboards and bus signs and all that kind of stuff for out-of-home. So I focus on building, reporting, analyzing, and optimizing via Excel, Tableau, Alteryx, and KNIME. So just so I get a small snippet. Oh, where's my... One second. You don't have to follow along. What you'll need to follow along with is the once we start Tableau. So I just kind of want to review what we're going to go through. I'm going to try to stick to my agenda as much as possible, but don't hold me to it. So part 1 versus part 2, I hope you guys come to the next round of this because it's going to be much more advanced. This one is going to be, for some of you data science, even actually a lot of you, it might seem elementary, but it's going to give you a very strong overview of what Tableau is, what analytics is, big data, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to you guys are going to get a good idea of the different types of data that we're going to work with. You're going to get the lay of the land of Tableau, its functionality. We're going to build charts, trend lines, add some color and customization today to 3 different dashboards. And then part 2 is going to kind of be all of that. It's going to be only Tableau. We're not going to do a lecture part. And it's going to be kind of like on steroids. So stay tuned. That's going to be next Monday at this time. So, yes, these are kind of the 4 points that we're going to get into. We're going to start. We've done our intros. We're going to get into right now. Bear with me. I really want to give you guys just a 30-minute debrief of a little bit of lecture. What is analytics? What is a typical day for an analyst? I might be a little bit biased because I do specifically work in advertising, but I can give you, some variety of different type of data that you can work with. Okay? All right, so we're going to start off with a little bit of social experiment. I don't know, it's a little bit dark in here, but I think we'll be okay. All right, so example. I'm going to need you guys as my test bunnies, all of you, please. Okay, so let's say what I want to do is I want to give you a snapshot of what you will be doing once we start working in Tableau. I want you to understand what analytics is, okay? So let's say I am the marketing manager of Spotify and Macklemore came to my company and says, I need you to get people to buy tickets to my concerts. And Spotify's like, oh crap, how do I do this? Macklemore's a big artist. Have you guys seen those emails that come to you and they have very customized concert email marketing campaigns where they say, concerts based on music that you're listening to? So this is a similar campaign that Spotify wants to run, but first they have to collect the right information, right, to be able to target the right user. So let's say Spotify is running a study and you guys are the collective data pool. So can I get a raise of hands of people that listen to music on a daily basis? Erica, how many people are here, would you say? 32. Okay, so I'm going to say 32 because everyone raised their hand. All right? Okay. Now this is key, out of the 32 people that raised their hands, and this is going to be a consistent point, okay? So remember that. Out of the 32 people that raised their hand, how many of you go to a concert at least once a year? Keep your hands up high, high, please. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. All right, this is 16. All right. Out of those 16 people, we're good, got you. Out of those 16 people, how many people listen to pop, funk, hip hop, or rap? Any one of those categories. High, please. 2, 4, 10, 12, 14. All right, out of those 14 people, how many of those people would be willing to pay between $30 and $50 for a concert ticket? 2, 4. All right. Now, out of those 11 people, how many would be willing to drive at least 5 miles to go to the concert? 2, 4, 6, 8. All right. Now, I need this is a collective, because now I just want demographics. I want to know who my audience is. Can I get a raise of hands of all the guys that were in the collective pool? All the males that were completely, regardless of whether you know, total. Okay, how many of you are younger than 19? Oh, you make me feel old. Okay. That's how I feel old. Okay, how many are 20? How many are 21? 2. And then how many are 22 and older? Assuming everyone else. All right. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see my ghetto map of the United States of America, but I need to know how many people are... Did I put it right? 27. Thank you. Good eye. You're going to be a good analyst. How many people, whether you continued on the question pipeline, were born in the northwest region of the United States? Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Okay. 0. How many people were born in the southwest region of the United States? 6. Northeast regions, 1. And then southeast. And then how many people were not born in the United States? This is interesting. Do you see what's happening here? I see what's happening here. 1, 2, okay. 6, 7, 8. What do we got? Who's doing my math?
24.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so what did we just do? We just gathered a bunch of data, and we're trying to solve a problem of how to get people to buy concert tickets to Macklemore. Now, what could we do with this? Now, in the old days, people used to read numbers like this. And now what do we do? What are we using Tableau for?
Visualizing.
Visual. We want to make things visual. So let's draw some pretty graphs. Don't take my calculations too much to heart, but let's just play around with some things. And I'm going to keep this as simple because I don't want to take too much time. I'm just trying to prove a point. Okay, so we have 14 girls and 18 guys. Would you guys be okay with me saying that's about right? Girls and boys. All right? Let's say we have 19, so we have one 19-year-old. God bless your heart. No one here. We have 4 21-year-olds, and then everybody else is 22 and older. Okay? 19, 20, 21, 22 plus. And then we have, let's change it up a bit because I get bored of the same type of graphs. All right, we have, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so we have, what do we say? We have nobody in the Northwest. We have 6. We have 1. We have 1. So this is called, so this is Southwest, Northeast, Southeast, and then other. All right? So for an analyst, this would be a general overview of the data, right? This is just giving you information of like who came, where are they from, what do they do. Now let's say we need to actually answer some questions, right? So let's say we wanted to what's called dive deeper. This is a deep dive analysis, right? So what we want to do is say, all right, well these are our big major points, right? I want to know what's going on here because this is a large group of people and I need to attack these people. This, okay, I can't do two, well, I'm just going to skew this because to make a point, okay? I'm going to do 10 and 22. So I'm just going to skew this a bit. Oh no! It's okay, all is well. Alright, so we want to dive deeper. We want to dive deeper into this segment, we want to dive deeper into the girls, and we want to dive deeper into other. So that's where you start, right? You want to find your largest groups of people, well, for this situation, right? Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to layer another part. Let's layer some of our questions into this. So for the 22 and 21-year-olds, let's say, for the 21 and 22-year-olds, we're going to say 24 of them in this category, and if we had a deeper dive, 24 are from the Southwest. We have a couple from, we have one from Northeast, another one from Southeast, and the majority of the other ones are international, right? Southwest, Southeast, same here. We have that one single couple here from Southeast. We have someone here from Southwest, someone here from Southwest. Great.
Just a quick clarification. So whenever we segment one bar like that,
yep.
Every segmentation is just a difference between the next line and the previous line.
Correct. Correct. Yes. So this line is showing something different. Usually this gets ordered in greatest to largest, but we can do that in Tableau. That's what we pick on. Okay. So then let's dive deeper into this. Right. Same concept here. We have, or how about here? Half of these other are. Just dive deeper. Girls. Or no. Boys. Girls. Let's dive deeper here. What do we have? 22 plus. Sorry guys. 22 plus. We got a 21-year-old, and then the 19-year-old. Okay. All right. So this is kind of a deeper analysis. Okay. Now, what can I derive from this information? One thing I can say is, okay, we need to target girls for sure. But not only do we need to target girls, we need to target girls that are 21 and over, right?
How do we know that one person is a girl?
Based on our, so this is actually age. So we did a head count.
Oh, yeah. I just thought you were segmenting them between boys and girls, and then you do like the one. So this is like a different pie chart.
Yeah, this is just a deeper dive into the girls section of the pie chart. Remember, this is all an example. Okay. Second layer here. So we want to target girls that are 22 and older, and it looks like this is really basic. Where else do we want? Where do we want to target those ads? Do we want to target them in the U.S.? Do we want to target them in the Southwest?
Internationally.
I think we want to target them internationally. So, long story short, you can create a PDF version of this presentation, and this is just the surface. You're talking about Google and Spotify who have loads and loads of data. This is just 32 people. You're talking about billions and billions of data, of information, cached, cookies, surveys, email marketing that goes out that gets tons of information. So essentially what we're doing today is we're doing this, but in Tableau and in seconds. There's no more of this taking time to gather stuff and work it out. It all goes instantaneously. Okay? Yes. Go for it.
So wouldn't we want to target them where they are currently? Because even though the majority are internationals, we all are in LA right now. So it would actually,
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
The location would play a bigger role in where we target those ads compared to where they're from.
Exactly.
Because if it was all Chinese people, then if we target in China, the conference is in the US.
Right.
And everyone of our survey is here, then there's no point targeting them in China.
So he's making a good point. He's saying, shouldn't we be targeting those people based on where they are currently? That's a great observation. This is why analysts are around. We bring a different perspective. Some people think one way and other people think another way, but defining those targets is really important. It's a very good point. And you can do an even deeper dive with, let's say I added a third layer and said, okay, everybody give me your current address, to your point. Everyone give me your current address. Then I could draw a heat map or an area map based on your locations, where you live, and I can point out venues closest to you. And then I could not only target you with Macklemore ads, I could target you with his ads and choose a venue that's probably closest to the majority of the group that I'm pulling data from, and pick a venue closest to all of you, to be even more exact. So that's a great point.
Would you say the most important part of actually making analysis are these questions which you asked at the start? Because if these questions don't make sense, then the data is going to be garbage.
Correct.
As well.
I'm going to dive into that in just a second, but that's a good point. That's a very good point. That's a good point. He asked if the questions are the most important part of the data, if that's the most important part. I would say yes and no, because nowadays a majority of the questions don't get asked. It's just the data is just getting pulled, right? So Google does ask you questions here and there, but they're not asking you anymore. They're just grabbing it and taking it. And then the hardest part is cleaning the data and taking it into perspective, with a perspective. One more, and then I got to move on because we only have time.
You assume that the variables are independent, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Otherwise, you can't say.
Correct. All right, I'm gonna give like 5 minutes here and there for questions, but like I said, we got a ton of information, and I want to make sure to get through it. All right, so let's see. Okay. So what we essentially just did, and I just want to dive into this. There's no clock in here. I just want to dive into this a little bit. But like I said, this entire process is now electronic. Everything is very simple, very smooth. As long as you have good data and a good source, you're pretty much good to go without having to do all that mess. Okay, so like I said, data is captured through surveys, through cookies, all of your smart TV, your smart fridge, it all is gathering data based on how you use it. And that data is refined, and then it's being used to make either things smarter, to answer questions, to solve problems, to get more information on how to make a product better, etc., etc. Now, the way I did it was I did it old school, the way analytics used to be. I said, I'm going to bring you in. You guys ever seen Mad Men? It's very similar, where they used to have someone who would just come in, sit down, and ask you questions. And they still do that. I know big companies that still get, what are they called? Focus groups. That's right. They get focus groups. They sit you all they start asking you questions about the product. Very similar to that. So that's kind of how I gathered my data. But then what I did was I used what's called a tool to manipulate the data, which was the board. But other tools, like the one we're going to use today, is what helps to clean, manipulate, and create a story of the data, right? So such tools exist, like the one that a lot of people are using because it's free and because it's been around so long that it's very easy to still use. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Excel. There's a lot of companies who are still using Excel to do big data mining. And it's because it's, like I said, it's free, it works, but it's not, if you are growing very big and have more than at least 5 employees, you should probably start thinking outside of Excel. Tableau is one, which I'm going to show you today, Domo, Alteryx, Adobe SAS. So these are different types of tools that digest the data, and then as analysts, we use to create and build analysis, predictive models, or visualizations, right? And then, final step is to analyze and present the data. As we did the first step, identify the problem. What was the problem? Does anyone know? Does anyone remember?
Find the target audience.
Macklemore, find the target audience. Spotify needs to run ads. Perfect. Then what do? We obtain the data. How did I obtain the data? Through what method? Old school. Surveying, exactly. Then what did I do? I needed to understand the data. This one I didn't do specifically, but just to elaborate, what understand the data means is, let's say I gave you, okay, so if you're running YouTube ads and you want to increase your viewability rate, You need to know your completion rate. You need to know your how many views you got per second, et cetera, et cetera. So what understanding the data means is, what is a completion rate? How do you define a completion rate? What is a view defined as? What even is how do you calculate a total amount of seconds? Do you do it by day? Do you do it by hour? How are you gauging your metrics? So this is just something interesting. Another way of doing it is categorization. So let's say there's a bunch of, how could I expand on that? I'm sure within the journalism school there are different specializations, right? So those categories are very specific to the School of Journalism here at USC. Understanding each one of those specializations is understanding data, in essence, okay? So we understood the data, then we prepared the data, and I did that through my charts, et cetera, and then what I did was analyze the data, which was going through a deeper dive and just trying to parse through information, because what you'll notice as an analyst, you're going to get tons of information and you're going to go into black holes all day. And you're going to have a great time because as an analyst, you're curious, you need to be stimulated, you want to solve problems, and so at first you're like, I could do this all day, but then you don't get to the end result. You don't find your goal. And so you have to make sure that that's why you have a problem that you need to solve. So it keeps you on track of what you're trying to accomplish. Okay? And then finally, you present your results, right? And that could be through a PDF, through a presentation, through some kind of Tableau dashboard that you send out weekly. So very straightforward. What else? The longest part of this process, unless you have amazing data, which I don't think we're at that point where every company does, is going to be the prepare the data part. We won't have to do this because I gave you guys all clean data, but sometimes you'll get information with, let me give you an example, actually. After this, we're getting straight into Tableau, so just give me 2 more minutes. Okay, so messy data, right? Can someone give me a time? 7? Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. We're ahead of schedule. Look at me go. Okay. Let's do this really quickly. Let me give you an example. Messy data. Anybody have any questions so far? Anything you want to know or?
Yeah.
Tell me. Shoot.
So when you said cleaning data is one of the hardest things,
Mm-hmm.
is there a software which does it, or you have to do it manually?
Both. So if you work in Excel, you have to do it manually because it's not advanced enough. If you work in Alteryx, you still do it yourself, but it's one of those softwares where you set it up and you do it once, and every time you run your data through that, it does it automatically.
How do you spell it?
Alteryx, Altryx.
Given that the data is always in the same form.
Correct. Good point. If you're pulling in data and you want to manipulate it or keep it in a consistent way, which we're going to do in Tableau, you want to make sure that the data is always formatted the right way. If you have even one change, it's going to ruin your entire data set. Okay. Let's see.
Errors
Go ahead, what?
Errors can be anything instead of writing California, they write CA. Is that an error as well?
Exactly. That's what I'm going to show everyone here. I know this might be hard to see, but okay, so this is just a small table. I'll explain it to you guys for those who can't see, but it's just showing the employees, the month they worked, and their hourly rate, let's say. Wait, maybe then we should make this 12. That would be sad, $2.03. But, okay, so we have an employee, the month that they worked, and then their spend by hour. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this says Joe and this says John. I'm assuming that this is John,
Yeah.
right? So then this says Ed and this says Edward. I'm assuming it should be one or the other. Now, there's a lot of times in my industry where we can't always track our advertising placements because we can't track specific metrics because it's outside of our server limitations, right? So then we get it from our publishers, sites like Hulu, sites like NBC or Fox Sports, and we say, we don't have this data. We need to merge it with your data to get a complete report. So sometimes they'll send us data that looks like this. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff that big companies like Hulu, like Spotify will send us because they're still running on Excel, believe it or not. They'll send us stuff like this, and we have to send it back and say, you need to clean your data because the most important thing about being an analyst is having accurate data, because whatever you send out, whatever you report on, that's on you. What is most important and what you can be prideful on is how accurate you are as an analyst, because you're the one making optimizations, you're the one making recommendations, and you're the one sending $11.2 million monthly reports to clients, and you got to be accurate. Yes.
So when you say we, you mean like a outsourced data science company?
No, I'm talking about, so let's say, I work on La Quinta Hotels, and we use, I don't know what's one, Thrillist. So Thrillist, we run our La Quinta ads on Thrillist websites. They send us what's considered site-served data reporting. And so they pull it and they send it to us. But sometimes it's messy like this.
But what if they don't know how to clean it and they mess it up? Then isn't that going to affect your business as well?
If they don't know how to clean it, they probably shouldn't be working there. So I'm going to say that we never receive data that's dirty regardless. They should clean it. Okay, another point here, just a couple more examples. We got September abbreviated short, November abbreviated short, consistency. I see a pattern, I see a trend. That looks right. Why is this Junie? I don't know what month that is, so that's definitely not right. I'm assuming that's July, and it should probably be JUL dot, not JUNY. And then we have April here. That's a full month. I'm assuming that should be APR. Another thing that makes good analysts, fortunately or unfortunately, you have to have some level of OCD. You have to have strong attention to detail. No joke. You need to be able to see these things from far, and see if you're looking at rows and rows of data, you need to be able to pick out that one mistake or that one error that's going to change. If that decimal was supposed to be 11.1 and now is 1.1 and you report on that, no good. All right, last row, spend. We're looking at $8. Okay, I see an $8. I see a format that this is currency. Why don't any of the other ones have currency? Okay, and then why is this one 11.1 where this is this should be maybe 8.0? Since none of these have a dollar sign, I'm going to cut that out. And keep this consistent. And then what the heck is 4 o'clock p.m. here? That makes no sense whatsoever. Format is incorrect. So this goes with understanding the data, right? This goes along with understanding. We're talking about currency here. We're talking about abbreviated months. We're talking about non-duplicated full first names. Okay? All right.
Do you also take care about missing values?
So missing values there's a fine line when analysts talk about that, because what's interesting with analytics and data is you can decide what goes into the cells. And this is the part where a lot of analysts also have very strong intuition. They almost can be very predictive in themselves. They're always thinking about the next step. So I know analysts who put NAs in their values, so that means there's nothing applicable, and I know some analysts who put zeros in the data just so that a number populates and there's no errors when you use an NA. So that's up to, I would say, I usually go with NAs and I try to fix those. I hate using zeros, and a lot of the problem is everybody wants something tomorrow, right? Everybody's priority versus yours. So it's much faster to just find replace zeros, right? But is your data going to be accurate? Who knows, So it's better to take the time.
What is how much of a cushion do you have in terms of
5%? We live off 5% in terms of accuracy. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but we use 5% accuracy. So the way I got trained was with my boss. She and I would mirror reports every week and every month on the 10 sets of reports, the 10 deliverable reports, I had a month, and she would mirror me until I got to 95% of accuracy to hers consistently for the following 3 months. So if I didn't get every time I didn't get 95%, I had to start all over until I became more and more accurate. And that's just following the process, understanding the data, not going too fast, getting a good night's rest, like all that. 95% is where you want to be. If not, she prides herself on like 98. It's insane. But I mean, hopefully one day I get there without wanting to kill myself. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to get into Tableau. Yes.
Yeah. So you talked about the missing data.
Yes.
Can you use it, the average of that thing? Like, no, average of the data, use that as the missing data?
So that's a great question. He asked if you're missing data, can you use like an average, right?
Yeah.
Or some kind of like basic baseline. What I would say and what we do is, as long as we feel comfortable in the past data that we've aggregated and knowing the other side, sometimes publishers will say, we've tried our hardest and we can get you 2013, 2015, 2016 historical, but we cannot get you 2013. Well, shoot, we're not going to be 95% accurate, but if we do take an average of the 3 years, we'll get somewhere in the ballpark. And in those cases, that's okay. But let's say, sorry, we only have 2014, and that's the only year, there's nothing for us to compare to. So that's pointless. But there are times where, data hasn't been around forever. So you do have to work with what you have. And you do have to work with companies that don't have everything perfect. So yes, there is a balance there. All right. Anybody else before we get into Tableau? Anybody know what Tableau means? Anybody French? Tableau is French for tables. Fun fact, huh? All right, okay. Enough. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So everybody, let us. So, oh my God, I wish I had a mouse. And you know what? Hold on. Everyone, open Tableau and then get all of the Excel docs and put them somewhere on your desktop. Did everyone get one of these? Did they pass you out the dashboard? The dashboard questions? Does she not give it to you? Okay. Well, we'll just have to figure it out.
Thank you for my dashboard, just docx. It's given in the file.
Yeah, if you could open the file that says dashboards, I'll walk you guys through it verbally, but this is what we're gonna be going over. I'm gonna plug in my mouse here, so for future reference, well, no, you guys can do it. I don't like working with just a mouse on my keyboard because at my job I have I have a whole setup. I have 3 screens, a mouse, because if you're looking at that much information, you want to be able to see it everywhere. So just small tips that I'll give you guys about the industry. It's good that you can use your laptops the way they are, but if you guys ever feel like you're oh, I can't do this, trust me, I'm right there with you. I'm using a mouse. All right, so okay, we're gonna go slow at first, and then I'm gonna throw some fastballs at you guys and make you guys go faster because I got a lot of computer science majors in here, so I have high expectations for all of you. All right. So what we're going to do is, everybody open Tableau, nice and beautiful. We're going to connect, okay? So this is, when you first enter Tableau, this is what you're going to be asked to do, and what you're going to want to do is grab your data sources. Now, data sources, let's get into that. As you can see here, these are the different types of data sources that you can upload to Tableau. Now you can either upload data sources or you can actually connect directly to some kind of database or to some kind of API, which, and I'll show you in a second, what that means is that right now we're going to work with a live data source. So we're going to be working with something that is on our desktop and we're feeding into it. versus something where you're extracting. And extract means that you're pulling directly from the API. And then if you have the server, which my company does, it automatically updates that extraction at 5 a.m. every morning. And it could do it at 5 a.m. You can put a set time on how often you want it to update, right? Because a lot of our clients, they sign in directly to our Tableau and can view their reports live, right? And they want, real-time data. Okay, well, we're going to use an Excel file. So click on Excel, find your file, drag. So the first one we're going to do is this sample Excel with the parentheses. Okay.
Sample Superstore sales.
Sample Superstore sales, correct. Okay, so what we're going to do is, you have everybody with me? We're going to rename this file. So like I said, we got to be OCD. We want everything clean, everything crisp, everything beautiful, because the cleaner, the more organized, the easier for you guys to flow. So let's rename this. Okay. Superstore sales. Okay, done. Now what we have to do here, and this is a little bit advanced, and I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but you see these three tabs down here on the left side? That means that the Excel spreadsheet, if any of you guys looked at it before, it had 3 worksheet tabs at the bottom. So that's showing us the 3 different tabs. Now what we want to do in Excel is we want to consolidate those tabs. And we're going to do this very simply by just pulling orders in. So did you guys see how I did that? Dragged in orders. And then we're going to drag in returns to the right side of orders. And then we're going to drag in users right underneath returns. Okay, what we're doing is we're unionizing the data together so that those 3 worksheets are consolidating to one large worksheet. Okay. We're going to switch our option here to be full outer. And we're going to switch this here to be full outer. And they're joining, I don't want to get too into this because this is a whole lesson on its own, but this is joining on the ID. So all the IDs that match are connecting all the line item together, okay? And same with users, it's connecting on the region, okay? So obviously one data set is orders, so the orders that were being placed with their sales. Then we have another one based on returns, and then we have another one based on users, okay? I'm going to ask, just let me get through at least one dashboard, and then I'll do another set of questions. Okay, so now we have one data source. All right, let's pull in our next one, our Google Analytics data source. So add here, get that Excel file, and then I'm hoping that, I know I sent this out last minute because I was worried that this one didn't work, but pull in whichever Google Analytics one populates. We can close out of this. Oh, wait, hold on. What's happening here? I don't want this. Hold on. Okay, remove that. Let's see. Let's go into the sheet. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, so we were here, data source. This should work. Connect, Excel file, Google Analytics. There we go. Is this happening to you guys?
Yeah.
It's loading. So, okay, there we go. It's a large data file. That's why. So there's 200,000 rows. So let's rename this Google Analytics.
The previous view is staying.
One more time.
And the previous view, if we have loaded that before, and this Google Analytics file is also up, how do I make a new screen?
Okay, so let's go here. So everyone go to sheet 1. Do you guys have 2 data files in your worksheet? Do you have 2?
Yes, orders and the sheet.
Ready? See real quickly. Perfect. Go here. Yep. Excel. And then go to sheet 1. Yeah, because it has to upload. Go to sheet 1 and now you should have them both. Yeah. Okay. Sorry guys, can we rename these guys really quickly on here? So rename Superstore sales, Google Analytics. Beautiful.
Needs under connections.
Okay, get to this part. Make sure you're all there. Okay, so go to sheet 1. Okay, go to data source. Remove this guy.
Remove it?
Mm-hmm. Go to sheet 1. Go to this guy. And then try to upload it again.
Oh, that wasn't correct.
Correct. Desktop. Yep.
But the previous one went away.
No, it's still there. It's in your sheet. All right, I'm going to go through it one more time. We're going to go through it one more time. All right, I'm going to start from scratch, just so we all can do it again. Okay, we're here, Excel. Pull open your data source, okay? Click down to sheet 1. Whoa, what's going on here? I didn't get enough time. Oh, orders, returns, users, full outer join. Bless you, full outer join. Okay, we have our first data set, sheet 1. Up here at the top, here at the top, Excel, Google Analytics. It's opening, sheet 1. We're going to rename Superstore Sales. Rename Google Analytics. Okay? Cool. I'm moving on. All right. I just want to explain to you this beautiful canvas that is also known, as Tableau. Okay? I'm going to start from the right side here. So as you can see, follow my mouse. This is where all your data is going to live. This is where your data sources are going to get stored, and you can have up to 6 data sources that you add in, right? Now, the more data sources you have, the more memory it's going to, have on your computer. If you have a server, even if you have all the data sources, it's going to take up a lot of room. So just be conscious of that. Down below, we have our dimensions and our measures. Now, what is considered a dimension is something that's a category, right? Or a date. Or it's some sort of text version. You won't be seeing any of your metrics or your KPI numbers in your dimensions because those live in the measures, okay? So as you can see here, Tableau consolidated your dimensions and your measures, and it automatically, with their brilliant algorithm, decided that, okay, this is going to be a text. This is going to be a text field. As you can see here, this is how Tableau categorizes what your dimension is. You have your text field, date. As you can see, it's showing a calendar. If you click on this section here, you can actually manually override what Tableau designates your data field, right? So sometimes, Tableau is not human and it can make a mistake, fine line. Okay, so you can actually override what Tableau says. I've had to do this a couple times where it thinks it's a, some kind of number, but it's actually a day. So it happens from time to time, but usually it's spot on. And then below here, you have, your number values, as you can see here, same here, okay? Next, this is what's considered your analytics field, your tab here. Now this goes into predictive modeling, it goes into forecasting and adding reference line. We're going to use one field from there in just a bit, but right now that's going to be part 2. We're going to do more predictive and forecasting next week, but just so you know it's there. Pages we'll get into next week. Filters is exactly what it's saying. It's adding filters to your data set. So let's say boys and girls, right? I create a filter that says data gender. So I can put in a filter and it will say, boys, girls, and you have 2 check marks, and I can filter out just the girls and do an analysis on that data. Just a quick example. Your marks card is what makes it pretty and customizable. So this is where you get your colors, your text, your tooltips, which is something that happens when you hover over a data point. It'll populate a little balloon, and you can decide what goes into that little tooltip. Okay. Up here you have your columns and rows, and essentially a lot of this stuff did originate from Excel, because Excel is more of like a financial tool for like accountants and forecasting and business consultants and those stock exchange guys, but they're all numbers, right? So we're using the same methodology here in Excel, and a lot of SQL, a lot of this stuff uses kind of that same mindset, right? Columns, rows. So you have your columns and rows. This is where we'll be placing the data to parse it in different ways. This here is your canvas, so you're going to see us create what's called a worksheet in this space. And then up here at the top, this is one of my favorites. So here are all your different types of charts that you can create in Tableau. Once we actually have data in there, you can click on whichever one you want to choose as your form of visualization. Now, as you'll see, because we'll work through it, if I put boys 10 and girls 22, can we create a map area chart with those numbers? No. And Tableau won't let you either. It's nice enough that it'll tell you down here below what you need to create the chart that you're trying to create. So if I hover over the histogram, it's showing that I need one measure value to create the histogram. So if you ever get stuck, Tableau does give you those little tips to help you move along. Okay? All right, cool. So let's get into it. So we are going to be creating dashboard number 1. Very simple, very simple. So this is us. This is one scenario. As a regional marketing manager, I need to understand the performance of each region and related products by sales from 2009 to 2012. Now, perfect timing. So another tip, as an analyst, you need to be very specific when you're asking questions. Can someone tell me what a difference is between, hey, what's the best sales from 2009 to 2012? Versus, as a regional marketing manager, I need to understand the performance of each region and related products by sales from 2009 to 2012. What can someone give me one difference?
That's relative, so you're comparing it to other products as well.
Okay, so he's saying you want to be able to compare products. That's something he got from the second question. What else?
Each region and the best.
Each region and the best. So you're looking at top performers. You want to know best to worst, right? Go for it.
Year-on-year growth of sales.
Perfect. 2009 to 2012. That means you want year-over-year growth. Okay. The only other thing that I probably could have added is I want to understand the performance of each region that garnered 50% more than the average product by sales between da-da-da-da-da. But as an analyst, you need specific questions, because you can only give specific answers if you are asked specific questions, because if not, you go into the black hole and then you come back with 50 answers, and that doesn't help anyone. Okay? All right, so let's get into it. So we're going to do the first question. So I broke out the actual question into specific questions, so it's easier for us to get to it. All right, so how are regional sales performing over time? Does anybody know what chart you use to show performance over time? The line graph, that's right. So it's called a trend line because you're showing a trend over time. Now, the difference between time and something like a category is you can't show categories over time. You can show categories over time, but you can't compare a category versus a category on a line graph because there's no time. So, one thing to take away from this, time line chart. What could you use for a category? Bar chart. What else could you use? We used it over there.
Area chart.
Pie chart. Yep. And then what the heck is the name of this one? Tree map. I've heard it called something else, but a tree map. So that other one that I did, the square one, we'll make one, but that's another one. So something to remember. All right. So what we're gonna want to do is sales over time. So let's grab our Superstore sales. We're not looking at Google Analytics at this time. There's like 100 shortcuts in Tableau, so feel free to play around. You can drag the sales. You can double click on the sales. So let's just double click on the sales, and it populates this bar graph, right? So Tableau's cute. It really tries to do everything for you. You know that algorithm. They try to make it really seamless. I don't really like it sometimes because I like to start from scratch. So it gave me this bar chart, but I want to look at the number. I want to see what exactly I'm looking at. A bar doesn't mean anything to me. A number means something more. So we have our sales over time, right? Now what I want to do is put it in the text column. That's not what I want. I don't want to see it in a text column. Let's take that out. Let's drag the sales up to our rows, right up there, okay? Now, over time, we want to see month over month, right? So let's take our order date and let's throw that on the column section, okay? So what do we have here? Can someone tell me? Okay, this is another shortcut really quick. It's really, thin, so you could separate it out. So this is a line graph. So this is showing sales over time, year by year. How can we make this better? It looks confusing. It looks confusing. What am I really seeing here, And what did the question ask? It asked sales by region. Go for it.
So you're saying how can we make it better? I thought if we can calculate a percentage increase and decrease, then we can make it better.
That's a great way. We will get there, but right now I just want to make it visually better because Tableau is meant for visualizations. So let's, first of all, we need it by region, right? Let's drag our region into color. So now, what is it showing? Yep, it's showing sales per region. It's still kind of confusing. I just see a bunch of lines. I don't really get too much context. Let's turn this into an area graph. So if we color it here, now we're getting a little bit more deeper. It looks better, right? So we go here, or where you go show me, show me, and then you go to this area chart, okay? Now, I understand he wants over time, but what is this showing me? It's showing me too broad. I need to get a little bit deeper. I want to see some trends, right? So what we're going to do is do you see this little plus sign on the year?
I think I lost you at the year portion where you dragged it and
okay.
the trend chart appeared.
Okay, so so let's go back one step. We have sales here, and then we have date. We put order date in the columns, and then we got this, and then we put the region in the color. Make sure you have the region in the color. Oh no.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Let's get a little bit more granular. Let's try to find some trends. Everyone see this year, and then we're going to turn it. So now what we just did by pressing that plus, we dove deeper into quarters, and we're going to go one more into month. So hopefully this works. Let's drag out our year, and let's drag out our quarter. And now what do we have? We have over time by region, year over year, month, right?
How did you do that code?
Can you go back one step?
Of course.
Yeah, how did you get to month?
Okay, I'm going to take out this order date. I'm going to put back the order date. You could do this one of two ways. You can do it by adding this. Or, you see this little arrow here? Drop down, and you could pick what you want it to say. So let's do month and year. There we go. That's pretty. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. But it looks better than that one first line chart, right? Because now, what can we see here? What is really important with line charts? Spikes. Spikes. What is going on here? Why is this drop?
Seasonality.
What could be seasonality? It could be the product. We did a promotional product sell that week or something. Who knows? But you want to see the spikes. Now, I want to make sure that we're looking at 2009 to 2012. So let's get that order date and let's drop it into the filters. Okay, so we're creating a filter because we want to make sure we're looking at 2009 to 2012 only. So, years, click next. Okay, you see here? We do have all the years. So make sure they're all checked. and press OK. So now you have your filter. It's just a way to QA to make sure you have the right data. All right, beautiful.
Sorry, go back to the order date.
The filter?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go into order date and drag it into our filters. And now it's saying, how do you want me to create a filter? Do you want me to do it by months, by years? So we're going to do ours by years because we got to make sure it's 2009 to 2012. And then you can either check them off, you can select all, and you press OK. Nothing's going to change because it already had all the years, right? Okay, so let's click up here and let's rename our worksheet. And I like to do this based off the question so it looks pretty. So we're going to put, how are regional sales performing over time? Question mark. Okay. So this is pretty specific. And I'm going to say this is a reporting tool. This is a reporting dashboard. So we're just giving information. This isn't an analysis. This is us, to this client or to this marketing manager saying, this is some information that we are presenting to you. And so some people look at this chart and they're like, what the heck am I looking at? If you're not an analyst, you're not really going to know that a line chart means over time. That's why you add the question. There's a lot of people who don't know about data, who don't know about analysis. Put the question to make it seamless, okay? So let's get even more OCD. Let's go down to our sheet number 1 tab, and then double click it, and then you can rename it, and we're gonna put sales trend line, okay? And then you're gonna, how do you right click on a Mac, guys? Oh, I have my mouse.
Control.
Oh. Okay. And then let's color this. So I want to color these blue. Okay. And you just created your first worksheet. Bravo. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to do, I think we're going to do like, probably, what time is it? I think we're going to do 10 tonight. So stay with me. All right, so let's create another worksheet and let's answer our, okay, questions so far. Everyone good? Okay, let's do the next one. How are regions performing against each other? Yes?
If I want to transform this graph, like this graph into some other graph, how can I do that?
What kind of graph are you trying to transform it into?
It's a bar graph or pie chart, anything.
So show you got your show me tab, and this here you can pick it here, right? But none of that looks as good as this one. But yes, you can use one of those. Okay?
Just like on the qualitative side, doesn't this look so messy?
It does. I'll show you. That's a great point, and I will prove your point in a second. Because what we're going to do is select a month. I'll show you. All right, so now we're going to start a new worksheet. Go down below here. If you guys remember Excel, like I said, it's very similar. Open a new worksheet. Blank canvas, okay? How are regions performing against each other? What is a region? What kind of, is it a dimension? Is it a measure?
Dimension.
It's a dimension, correct. And if we want to showcase it to compare against another region, what can we use? We talked about this.
Pie charts.
Bar graph, or we could use a pie chart. The rule of thumb for pie charts, no more than 3 categories. If you use more than 3 categories in a pie chart, it's useless. It doesn't make any sense because people don't look at angles just to prove a point. Now, a lot of visualizations, I recommend if you want to get into this, take an art class and take some kind of a color theory class, because I've seen some really badass visualizations that blow mine out of the water. But I'm not that bad. So, right here. Versus more than I need to.
Best of both worlds.
Definitely not. There. Comparison, both worlds. Yes. Okay. Okay, so essentially, if I had more time to draw, they're the same. But you wouldn't know because A, B, C, D, E, yeah. What my point is, can you, back there, can you tell me, let me make this even more. Can you tell me, based on looking at this pie chart, if E performed better than D or if D performed better than E? How many people, how many people think E is better than D? Really?
You can't judge anything. It looks
Exactly.
similar.
It looks the same, okay? But if you're an analyst and you're nitpicky, or you're, the president of Viacom, and you are you know your data points, and you know every year that you hit 13.2% in E category. If this is 13.2% and this is 14%, to some people, and you're talking about billions of dollars, that's a big difference. There's a difference there. It might not be substantial, but it's showing a difference. How about B and C? And then again, how much bigger? Color and spatial theory tell you that the human eye reads this faster and easier than it reads pie charts and these types of angles. Okay. All right. Just had a vent. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Regions performing against each other. All right. So what are we going to bring in here, guys?
Region.
There you go. Yep. Region sales. All right. So we're going to pull in our regions into our rows column. Okay. And we're going to pull our sales into our column. All right. Now, if we look back at our sales trend line and we want to be consistent, what do I need to do? How do I differentiate those regions?
Color them.
Okay, perfect. This is why color is important in visualization, because right now, if I'm looking at this as a non-analyst, what the blues tell me is that all of these are the same thing. That's the difference. Whereas if I throw my region into my color, now it's showing a totally different story.
And Tableau is always going to maintain that every region gets the same color.
Yes. It depends, I think based on how you organize the data, it might, I'm almost certain that you have to drag in a color. Don't quote me. Okay, beautiful, right? Now, let's say people are more visual. They want to see numbers, because right now we're going through a whole transition where we went from Excel and tables and numbers to bars and pictures. So let's drag in our sales and put it into the labels column. I mean the labels mark. It's called a mark. Okay? Did anybody see what just happened? Okay, obvious, right? Put in our total sales per region. So now what rule of thumb, always order from largest to smallest. How do we do that? There's two ways. If you hover over the sales down below, there's that little sort button. So you sort it, and now we're sorted. You can also do it up here. This whole top layer is another way to do shortcuts. So you can do it up here, and if you want to switch it, you could do it there. Rule of thumb, always put the best data at the top, because that's what's most important. You want your best region at the top, because that's what you're showcasing, okay? Beautiful. Now we want to make sure, let's double check that we have the specific years that we're looking for. So throw in that. Now I'm going to show you guys a fun little trick. If you go back to your sales trend line, go to your filters and right click on your filter. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create this filter across every worksheet that we want. So when I push this filter and I change the year, it's going to change it on this worksheet and any other worksheet I designate. So apply to worksheets, and then we can do one of two things. If you go into selected worksheet, it'll show you which ones you want to choose. It doesn't have to be all of them, whichever ones you choose. But we're going to go back and say apply to all using this data source. Okay. And I'm just going to give you an example. So let's right click on year and then show filter. So now your filter will appear on this right side. So let's click 2000, let's click all, and then just click 2009. So this is kind of proving your point of it being super messy, but then you add filters and then you can start parsing it a little bit more. Okay. So anyways, 2009. Now if you go to your sheet 2, I don't know if you guys saw that, but it shifted. So right click and add your filter into this section, and you can see that it transferred over. Cool? All right. So what are we going to do next? We're going to add in our question, keep consistency. How are regions performing against each other? Okay. What are we going to do next? Name our sheet. Region performance.
Why doesn't it, when you name the sheet up there, is that just the title?
Correct.
And then that's the sheet. Okay.
Correct.
So you can do more than just this on this canvas?
Yep. Yeah. No. Good question. Glad you asked that question. So these are worksheets, right? And so you need, and what you'll see, and we're going to do, I think, we're going to do one more worksheet, and then we're going to put it on what's called a dashboard. So you create the worksheets, and then you put everything on a dashboard, and that's your report. Okay? All right. We're going to do one more. I need a text of just the sales for my dashboard. Open a new tab. This is going to be very simple, and this is just for aesthetics, as you'll see once we create a dash.
Color for a reason?
You'll see. Yeah, I'll show you right now. I differentiate my worksheets versus my dashboards with colors. Okay? So sales. Put your sale number in there, and we're going to name this total sales.
Wait, what do we do with sales?
So you just dragged your sales and you just threw it into the canvas. Okay? Did anybody see what got brought along because we're using this data source? The filter. Okay? All right, so let's rename this. Total sales. Color. Blue. All right. Now let's get to a dashboard. Let's do some cooler stuff. All right. Everybody with me? All right, we're going to make a dashboard. So this button here, not the worksheet, but the one to the right of it, it's going to be our dashboard. Okay? So this is similar to the worksheet canvas. We're going to look at the dashboard canvas. It's similar. All of your functionality tools are on your left pane, and everything else, it gets dragged into your actual dashboard. So this is going to be fun. We're going to drag in. Now we're gonna do this one my way. The next one I'm gonna say build it and arrange it however you want. But let's just do it my way so we stick together on this one. So let's get our sales trend line. As you see here, just similar to the measures and dimensions on the left side, we're gonna drag them into our dashboard. So sales trend line, drag it on in. Okay. It looks like a worksheet, right? But the difference between the worksheet and the dashboard is you can drag multiple worksheets. So let's drag our region performance next to, right between your filters and your dashboard. Okay. So we have our region performance and we have our trend line. And now let's add in our total sales up at the very top. Right there. Okay. Now this looks really gross. What the heck? This is not what I signed up for. I'm not getting my USC education tuition right now. All right, so let's make this bigger first of all. I need to see this full blown. So go into the size, fix size, go to automatic, and now we have our whole pane for us to use. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna...
Can you just do that one more time?
Of course. So go to size, and then I think it was on fix before, and now you're gonna go to automatic. All right, now these little boxes are a lot of fun because if you click onto them, you can see where their borders are. So we're gonna drag up our total sales. We need some more space for our trend line, right? Now, what are we gonna do here? Let's throw, so what these are called containers. So they automatically group things. I don't like that. I don't like being contained, no. So there's this little button up here that has a drop down. You're gonna go remove container. Sometimes those are tricky, sometimes it's easy to find, sometimes it's not. Okay, so now everything's kind of together. So let's take this region and put it next to our total sales. Okay. Let's take the year of order date and drop it up here next to our region.
Right, where's the Google container?
Do you have a container? Do you see a blue container on your two fields? If you do, there's a little arrow that drops down, and then it should say remove container.
Wait, how did you take a region there?
You just drag it like that. Mm-hmm. That's personal preference about the container. You should still be able to just drag it up here. All right. I will come over though if you need more help in just a second.
Center, you can find the arrow key to drag.
Here?
Yeah, in the center there.
Okay.
Oh.
What I'm going to do next is Tableau is consolidating this space based on an option. So for this region section, let's spread it out just a little bit more here. Actually, what I'm going to have you guys do is next to this layout, you see these top two arrows? Let's get some more space, okay? We have this. So now what I want to do is I want this to fill out. So grab your drop down, and then you're going to put fit and then height, or entire view, I'm sorry. So now we have our button showcased, okay? All right.
You do fit height?
Fit entire view. You could do fit height, that would work too, but I would put entire view. Let's do that one more time.
How did you remove that thing?
So the container?
No, the device preview, the dashboard.
Oh, okay. Where'd it go? Okay, so go to, if you want it back, you go to window, oh no. Show sidebar, window, show sidebar, right? If those of you who removed it. Yep. So to take it off, you go to layout right here, this little button, and then it removes it for you. Okay? Let's do the same thing with the total sales. Let's put fit entire view so that doesn't look weird. Okay? Okay, we're getting there. Now with year of order date, let's change the name of that. Let's put so if it's, actually I think you could just double click. Yeah, if you double click on that title, let's just put sales year. Okay? Because that makes more sense. Remember, you're catering to your audience. This is not for you. This is for someone who knows nothing about data. Region, consistency, OCD. Let's get those semicolons. And then what I want to do with my sales filter, let's make this more, what's fun about Tableau is for like, I think computer science people maybe, it's kind of like interactive, making it more interactive and user friendly, right? So this drop down, I want to make this a drop down. So these here are the different ways you can show your filter option. So I'm going to choose a multiple value drop down. And so now instead of having that weird, this is going to be a little bit more user friendly in that it's going to be a drop down. So let's put that over the region, right up there, right on top like that. And we're going to drag this out so that we can see all of our regions. Perfect. Whoop. Okay. It's starting to come together. Do you guys see the difference of what it looked like from the beginning? Now we're getting somewhere. All right. Now let's get into this guy. Okay. This is going to be a little bit, you'll see once you start getting more and more customized, the endless amount of options that you can do to make this look better. So we're going to right click on the data on this number and we're going to click format. And so now this gives us a whole nother section of customization fields. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that, we're going to just increase the size of that number. Okay. We're going to choose 16, maybe 18. 18 looks nice. I'm going to even bold it to prove a point. Actually, I will not bold it. Okay. Just keep it the way it is. And then we're going to move to the next one, which is formatting. And I'm going to format that to be center. Okay. Keep consistency. Let's double click on that total sales. And let's keep our total sales consistent. And so now we have this beautiful little information up here, just like a blank statement of total sales. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to drag this region just slightly to one side, okay?
Drag total sales to the side?
Huh?
Drag the total sales box to the side?
I drag the regions to one side of the total sales. Okay. The one last thing we're going to do, let's bring back our sidebar. We're going to just add a title to this really quickly. So over here, there's a bottom left corner where you can pull in an object. So you're going to drag up here what's called text, and you're going to pull it up at the top. Okay, and now you get a text. So this is going to be the title of our dashboard. It's going to be called Annual Regional Sales Performance. And if you want to get even more specific, I would say time frame 2009 to 2012. Center that. Make it that big. And now we got our title up here. Let's close this out. What's going on here? What's going on here? There we go. 1 second. I'll just fix this really quick. It's been weird. It's been weird. I'm just trying to drag this down. Yes, who has questions?
Instead of doing the text box, could we just do show dashboard title and then would that do the same thing?
It would do the same thing. But I wanted to show it with the objects because that's what it's for. Show sidebar. Weird. There you go. Great idea. So if anybody else had a weird like bug where you couldn't drag it down, like someone said, you can also just add in the title here. But you can, so just so you know, you can add objects. If you have a logo, you can drop in an image just to put the logo up here on the corner. If you have a web page where you want someone to show maybe the link to the products, you can add that here. So this is just that final view. Perfect. All right, one last thing. I want to make sure that when I drag this down, let's all see the drop down. We want to make sure that this is working properly. So take your drag down and click all, please. And I want to make sure that when everyone clicks all, that nothing appears. What does that tell you? That everything is linked together by this filter. Sometimes you won't have the filter added to one of your worksheets, and so it won't show accurate throughout across the dashboard. So one worksheet will be off. So make sure that you have them all clicked on. So this is fun because if I want to see 2009, I can see 2009, 2010. All right. Yep.
How do you make the total sales text line just the center?
So good question. So at first I double clicked the total sales text. I highlighted and I centered it. Then I went into the actual total sales. I right-clicked, format, the worksheet here, and then I and then I went to the alignment tab up here at the top, and then I did center. You want me to guys do one more time?
The whole thing.
Oh, how did I? Oh, the box.
You can do that, fit with the entire screen.
I think, yeah, I guess I fit entire view. Did that get you?
Before it was all the way down to
Right. So I'm pretty sure I went, well, yeah, okay, so I went fit entire view, so it was probably something like standard or something like that. So then I went fit entire view, and you got to make sure that the alignment is centered. That's the one. It's got to be centered. I'm going to come over. Because this is... All right, but you guys just created your first dashboard. Now, let's rename our dashboard tab, and let's make it a different color. Consistent. Oh, I see. So drag this guy and put it next to it. Yep. Do it. So you're gonna just have to play around with it, and then you have yeah. So then you want to make sure this is on top of this one. Yeah, no, oh yeah, that's the part. Yeah. But I guess you're also supposed to. Let's do I got you. Let's just make
There's something wrong with the data sets.
yeah.
Because we have 2009, 2012,
Okay.
we have 2010, 2013. Right? So maybe you dragged in the wrong sales in the
all the way.
Go down to the side down.
You definitely dragged in the wrong sales in the
Drag it out.
super stressing. I'm not sure. But it's not a problem with what you've done. It's something with the Excel. This is my first one.
Go back. I'm gonna one more minute, and then we're gonna move on to the next dashboard. Break. Okay, Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next worksheet. I'm leaving 15 minutes at the end for us to for you to pull me out and grab. Okay, so we're gonna call this one Annual Regional Sales Performance. And then right click, color, let's do it red. Okay, cool. You guys are Tableau intermediary experts. All right. Okay, let's move along. I want to show you guys just how to make some more cool graphs and another dashboard. So let's get them moving. Where's the one of this one? Okay, this one is not that sexy. I don't want to do that one. Let's do this one. All right, we're gonna do national. So this one we did regional sales. So now we're gonna do national sales. Okay, so it's gonna be similar, but wow, I can't believe it's 8:06. Oh no. All right, we're gonna do this one really quickly. I can't believe it's 8:06. And then we're going to have to end the day. That's crazy. At least you guys got one under your belt. All right, let's do an area chart graph. All right, so we are going to start with a heat map. So let's start a new worksheet. Okay. We're going to do this one quickly, you guys, so follow through. So we're going to take longitude, and we're going to put it up in our columns. We're going to take latitude and put it up in our rows. Okay? Do you see how this heat map is getting created? Now the reason can someone tell me why nothing is populating in terms of color or depth or...
Because there's no sales or anything here.
Exactly. There's no measure. So let's add our measures. So let's add sales into our colors. Okay. And then we're going to add our state. Where's our state? Into details here. Okay. So you see what I did? I dragged sales into color, and then I dragged state into detail. Okay. So now we're getting somewhere. We got some color. Now, just a little shortcut. If you click on the color, you get even more options. Click Edit Color. Now you can change to use whichever color you want. This is why I said color theory is like a whole thing, because it doesn't just end there. You can always use the default, but if you want to start using contrasting colors, you can do so here. Let's use purple. Okay. All right, now I want to drag in region into our filter. So let's add a regional filter. Drag that into filter, press all, and OK. Okay, so now we're done with this. Let's name this, let's answer our question.
The region filter didn't do anything.
Correct, because it's the reason we have filters and the reason we use filters in Tableau is for our dashboard, to make it interactive for our consumer. So let's ask this question. Now we are doing dashboard number 2. So what is the national makeup of sales? What is the national makeup of sales? Okay. Now, one thing I want you guys to do is to hover over any one of the states. What you see, it defaults to the state name and then the total sales in that name, right? So let's do one more thing. I want to make the sales as a number sign, right? It looks, right now it's just it's a number sign. I want it to make a currency. So if you right click, you get even more options, right? So this is why no one dashboard is ever going to look like another, because they can be so customized. You go to default properties, you go to number format, and then this is where you can change it to be have a dollar sign. Okay, so we went sales, right click, then we went default properties, number format, currency, and now if you hover, you'll see that it's a dollar sign. Okay, now let's say I want to, well, we can't now, but yeah, let's say I want to edit what's in the tooltip. Let's say not only did I want to see the number of sales, but I wanted to see the profit when you hover. So if you drag up that profit into the label, now you'll see, I'm sorry, undo. So this back button up here at the top, this is your undo. That'll be your best friend. Undo, drag that profit into tooltip. Okay, so now if you hover, you have your profit within that tooltip. Let's make that profit a number sign, please. Currency. Okay, so now it's consistent. Consistency.
The order of operations that we're doing change what is being done?
No, because the profit is pre-made from the data set. So the only way that it can change is if you create a calculated field. So we're going to do the calculated field next time. So just an FYI, next week, this should only take us 5 minutes, okay? Because I want to get into more advanced. I want to do forecast lines. I want to do advanced calculations and writing, different calculations out.
Can we mark the negatively profitable states as red or something? Is that a way to do that?
Are they negatively profitable? I don't think any of them are negative.
Montana. Yeah.
Oh, negatively profited. So I think you would have to put in your profit into colors, and then there you go. Okay.
How do you do that?
So if you undo, just throw your profit into the colors mark.
Oh.
That's a good question. I would right-click. Yes. I wonder if you can do that. That's a good question. I've never been asked that question.
What?
If you can change it based on oh yeah, you can.
But
That's
where
so
does it
cool.
take the exchange rate from?
That's a great question. I've never used this part. So if anybody wants to do some research and find out, I've never actually had to do something like this. So I'm not sure how it calculates by exchange rate.
Might be taking it from XE or something.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, let's do a couple more, guys. Okay, so we're gonna call this what is it? National heat map. We can keep this consistent, blue. Let's get in another new worksheet. Now we want to see, let's answer question number 3, or the same one, but bullet point number 3. Based on national sales, what is the customer segment makeup? All right, so let's grab our sales, drag it into, I'm sorry, let's grab our, sales. Let's put it in size. Okay. Let's drag our sales again. We're going to put it in color. Okay. And now we're going to grab our customer segment and we're going to put it in label. So as you'll see, there's not one way to do a certain thing in Excel. There's different ways. Just depends on how quick and fast and what shortcuts you like to use. All right. Let's change it. Everybody change a color so we can practice that one more time. Change it to whatever color you would like.
From the color theory, which one is the most
opposite? So I'm using orange because it reflects well with purple. They go opposite, hand in hand. Okay. Now you see this corporate consumer, these labels, they're too small for me. If I just can't read I didn't bring my glasses. I can't see them. Let's make them a little bit bigger. Now we can see some numbers here. Label, and then font, 15.
What if you want numbers inside the square?
Great question. What if you want your sales number to appear inside the square? You grab your sales and you throw it into the labels field. And now you have your sales. Great question. Okay, let's name this. What is our customer segment makeup? Okay. Whoa. Name your label.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Let's color this blue. Okay, we're all good. We're going to do 2 more in 5 minutes. Let's go, let's go. Open a new worksheet. Now what we're going to do is top performing zip codes. This should be very simple. Okay, we're going to bring in your sales, bring in your zip codes. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to try to do this. You want to order your zip codes by best to worst based on sales. Best to worst. Remember the chart types we've already used. Just because a zip code is a number doesn't mean it needs to be on a trend line. Zip codes can also be categories. Okay. Can someone tell me what kind of chart they used? Nope. Well, that would be a good one, actually. You could use a heat map.
Heat map is like pretty.
Is it cool? Does it look cool?
It's cool.
Okay, the only reason why I wouldn't use a heat map is because we've already used it once. So I prefer a variety of charts versus 2 heat maps because then it's just a little bit confusing. But you're learning, you're practicing, show it to people and ask them, which do you prefer, you know?
By the way, heat map won't be able to give you like which zip code works best.
Exactly. Great point. Did you hear what he said? He said if you use a heat map, it's yes, you have the gradients of colors, but you can't sort it, right? You can't sort which one is best to worst, right? All right, let's do it really quick. This would be my version. Zip code in your rows, sales in your column, sort best to worst.
Oh, so it says that it contains 1626 members, whereas should I just add all?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, like there's a pop-up saying like you want
Yes.
to add filtered version or like all the zip
Yes, exactly. You want to add all. Now, I just want to do one tricky thing because I think you talked about this. So let's say you want to see the percentage makeup. Can someone explain what a percentage makeup means? I want to see, I know you have the answer. I want to see the percentage makeup of that top zip code based on the entire data set. What does that mean?
What percent out of 100 is that zip code?
Exactly. So that bar graph, what does that mean to me, you know? Okay, so we're gonna grab our sales and we're gonna put it into label because I want to see it visually. Okay, so now we're gonna drop down this sales and we're gonna do a quick table calculation. Tableau is so nice and so supportive that it has pre-made calculations for you to show different data, right? So you can see the percentage difference, the rank, percentile. Which one are we looking for? All right, let's click on that one. So now what is this showing us? It's showing us that top row is showing close to 70% or 69% of the total makeup of sales, which is a lot.
It technically shouldn't have the percentage sign in front of it.
It technically shouldn't have. It should not be a decimal. You are right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You're right. So then we should be able to.
How come?
No, it shouldn't.
There's just thousands and thousands of inputs, but they all add up to 100.
Actually, yeah, there could be.
Format.
I think it's correct because there are like so many entries, thousands of entries. So yeah,
I just
It's
want to.
actually less than a percentage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
it's just not even 1% of
Again,
total sales.
personal preference. This is why Tableau is awesome. Everyone can make their dashboard look however they want. And someone might see your view and say, that makes sense to me right off the bat. Someone might see your view and says, that makes more sense to me right off the bat. No one looks at any visualization the same way.
No one lives in 0
All right. So we are going to, let's do our usual top performing zip codes. Okay. Top performing zip codes. So I'm going to end with doing one more worksheet. And then if you guys are coming back next week and you have any time and you want to do some out of workshop work, I'd like for you to just build a dashboard with these worksheets. I don't care if you use all of them or 2, just create your own dashboard using these. Let's add a filter. I really like the legends. Let's maybe add a filter that shows it by region so you can filter out how it looks, because this is national sales by region, I think is what, or national sales performance. But try to add in a region filter in there so we can look through it by region. Okay, let's do our last worksheet. This one gets a little bit more intricate. We're going to do a product funnel. So this is going to show the top general line funnel of their most prominent products. And then by product, it's going to show even deeper. Almost what I said, it's going to be similar to like, this is the journalism class. And then within the journalism class, you know, which Annenberg, okay, School of Annenberg, what are the majors? And you have your majors. Then you're going to do a deeper dive similar to what we did at the beginning of the class. Within those majors, let's look at the specialties and break out how the sales perform well in the specialties. And then we're going to throw an average line to see which ones are performing above or below average. All right, so let's add in our sales. Stay consistent. Like I said, there's profit. And then you could do maybe return, or well, profit is, you can use a different, I'm just using sales as a baseline. This is just for practice. All right, so next we're going to take our product category and put it in our rows. Okay. And what are we going to do next, guys, to differentiate?
Color.
Color. We're going to throw that product category into our colors mark. Okay. What goes on top? What do we do next?
Largest.
Someone said it?
Technology.
Largest.
I heard someone said it. We're going to sort it. We're going to sort it from best to worst performing product category. Now we're going to take our product subcategory, so that specialized field, and we're going to drag that right next to our product category. So now we have a second layer. If anybody's ever worked with pivot tables, it's similar to that where you add in another field to get a little bit deeper. Same thing. Let's make sure we sort those. Okay. Let's just add a title really quick. Product funnel. Okay. And now the last thing I want to do is make sure that we have so we want to put an average line. Okay, so this is where you go into your analytics and you start doing a little bit of a deeper dive analysis. You grab that average line, you throw it right on top of the table. So you see these different options. You can throw it on the individual bar, you can throw it on the pane, which is the subcategory, or you can throw it across the table. I'm going to say let's throw it above the pane. Does that look, yeah, that looks,
What is it?
right?
What is it called?
The average line. So if you undo that, just so you guys have an idea, throw it back on there and do it by table. Let's do it by a table instead. Okay? So now what are you comparing here? You're comparing all the subcategories within the nation, and you're saying, did they perform above average or below average? So if I see this, I got presented this in a dashboard, my mind is going to say, whoa, what the heck is going on with bookcases? What the heck is going on with rubber bands? We need to stop selling rubber bands and optimize our storage and organization products. Same thing with all the other categories. So I like this line to be much more thick because it's proven a point. So click on to your average line, format, and let's get that guy just a little bit thicker and make it black. Why is it not black? Oh, here we go. Black. There you go. So transparency below here is kind of wonky. That's an upgrade. I haven't seen that yet. Cool. So now your average line is a little bit more prominent. And let's say I want to see what the average actually is, right? So go to edit. Now you have even more options for your average line. And then label, and then put value. Did that take away the average? No. So no, not value. Let's do custom, and then value, because I like the average title in there. So you want label, custom, value. You did this little right field here and added in value. Hey, where is it? I want the word average to appear. Oh, I know what to do. Right here, before it, go average. Type it in. And then press OK. Now you have it. Okay. So what is this? Product funnel, blue. So essentially, once you create your own dashboard, you will have created a reporting dashboard for whatever company this is for their annual sales, their regional and national sales performance. Okay? And you will have 2 dashboards if you guys choose to create a customized worksheet. Does anyone have any general questions before I come around and actually help hands-on? General. Yes. What's up?
Can you rank them, like all of them? Mix, such that orange will be mixed.
Oh, yes. Great question. You can do that without, so if you, this is a good question. I'm going to show you this cool trick. If you right-click on product name, and then you go create, then you go group. Whoa, look at all this stuff. Product. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Cancel. Don't do that. Right-click, and then go to hierarchy, create hierarchy, and they're going to call this product funnel. Okay? Got that. So it drops to the bottom. If you see in your dimensions, it drops to the bottom. Drag your product category under your product name in that funnel, and now you have them underneath each other. So you just created a hierarchy. So now if you drag in that product funnel before your product category, add all members, and exactly, remove those 2. And so now what you've done is, I think I might have put in the wrong thing. Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be category. Whoops. Sorry, guys. How do I delete? Shoot. Let me do this again really quick. What was it? Product category. Okay. Product category, subcategory. Drag the funnel. That's better. Okay, and then here you're going to have a little button, and then you can open and close. Cool.
Can you go back to the top performing zip codes?
Top performing zip codes.
Yeah, so there are like thousands and thousands of zip codes.
Yep.
What if you want to limit to just like top performing 10 zip codes or like 100 zip codes?
Of course. Thank you for coming. So take your zip codes. Let me see if I can remember. I'm going to put it into filter. Condition, top. Drag it into your filter, top, by field, top 10 by zip code.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I think it might be difficult because it's doing it as a count. But I don't think you want it as a count. You want it as a sum.
Yeah.
You know? Or you can do it, by sales. That might be it, right? There. Thank you, whoever shouted that out. So now you can get your top 10. That's a good question. Okay, guys, that wraps it up. I hope I see you guys next Monday. We're going to get much more into calculated fields, forecast lines, but that's a gist. Once you have data, you can just play around, and a lot of it is like just trial and error, right?